Hello, Grace City, Portland. Simon here. Guys, missed you this morning. Man, of all Sundays, for Portland to be hit with a proper ice storm. Launch Sunday. But you know what? That's okay. One of us left a little message on our GroupMe app earlier today, just commenting how it's ironic but kind of cool that of all weeks for the launch service to fall on and for the ice storm to hit and for it to be postponed a week, and yet it's really given us the opportunity to instead of fasting and praying as a church family on the back end of the launch service, we are now going to be praying and fasting for the week leading up to the launch service, which in retrospect, honestly, could not have been a cooler way to go about it. I often wonder who's really running the show around here. And I'm happy to say I'm still convinced that Jesus is in fact just helping us all along the way. Every time it would seem we miss a beat or I miss an opportunity to plan, the Lord is just helping us every step of the way. Very humbling, but pretty cool. Just guys, I want to make this as brief as I can. If you may have heard that our Grace City Church in Corvallis this morning did a live stream via Facebook and Instagram. Really great. Recommend checking it out. We got a little bit of a shout out in there, as Seth mentioned, us and Eugene as well. But guys, we're one big family. So I tuned in. Shirley and I sat in bed in our pajamas, watching Seth, and Craig and Hillary were there as well. It was fun. It was really cool. Seth preached a great introductory message into the book of Acts, chapter 1. I recommend checking that out. I'm not going to do that now, but we will pick right up where we left off in terms of just starting our Acts series. If you didn't know, if you didn't hear me announce the last couple of weeks or so, we are in fact starting a preaching series through the book of Acts. All 28 chapters will actually take us up through the month of May. I am thrilled, excited, ecstatic to actually start that. It's going to be really cool and just incredibly appropriate for us. I mean, gosh, as a church plant, I couldn't imagine a better place to start in terms of taking time to work through an entire book of the Bible. And it just so happens that we're actually going to be preaching through this Acts series with Grace City in Corvallis and Eugene. The church in Eugene will do a slightly truncated version of the series. But Portland and Corvallis will pretty much be synchronized, except for the fact that they started this series this morning, which means we'll actually be just 1 week behind them through probably all of the series. On a completely unrelated note, if you happen to tune into the Corvallis Church's podcast and you begin to see any sort of like parallels between my sermons and Seth's sermons, total coincidence. I would never plagiarize another pastor's sermons, even though they're going to be preaching like 1 week ahead of us every week. Only kidding. Anyways, couple of announcements. Obviously, as a church, we are going to be praying and fasting together this week. We've announced it a few times. Guys, this is a really big deal for us, and as I mentioned just a minute ago, it couldn't be more timely in terms of building up to our official launch Sunday, which has been postponed to next Sunday. So if you had some friends that you had been wanting to invite along, you've been praying for, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason, there's my family in the background. Well, we got another week, and I know I'm going to be praying for some people and inviting them along again. So a bit of an opportunity there, but we will postpone that till next Sunday. Regarding the praying and the fasting together, just a few things. One, you've probably heard this before, but we have a prayer and fasting guide. The larger church network, the church family that we are a part of, as a local church. It's called Every Nation. You've probably heard us talk about this. If not, everynation.org. Check it out. But this is the wider global church family that Grace City is a part of. And we, as a global church family, actually set aside a week towards the beginning of the year, every year, to fast together as a church family. And so they produced a very helpful 5-day prayer and fasting devotional / guide. The printable version of that guide is online. If you go to the website, go to the events page, gracecityportland.org, go to the events page, click on the week of prayer and fasting. There's a bit of a blurb there. You can read through that. And at the bottom of that, there's 2 links. One is to that prayer and fasting guide. You can just use it digitally. You can do it on your phone or whatever. You can print it out and use it to journal in and things like that. The second link there is a link of 6 videos by the gentleman who wrote the prayer and fasting guide. He's one of our leaders in the Every Nation Church family. His name's Jim LaFoon. It starts from day 0 to day 5. So if you watch the first video this evening, it'll actually set us up to begin our fast tomorrow. I hope you enjoy those. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Pastor Jim quite personally over the years. When I got saved as a student down in Southern California, he was living in the area there and even part of our local church there. Just a really humble and amazing guy. Loves Jesus, and it's just quite a unique guy. So anyways, those videos I hope will really be helpful, and they're intended to be used alongside of the prayer and fasting guide that he wrote himself. Again, all just resources to help us sort of track along and have a really great experience praying and fasting together. And by the way, if you've never done a prolonged fast before, okay, we're gonna do 5 days together. There's a whole variety of ways fasting can be done. Obviously, traditionally, a fast is usually to do with food. But there's all sorts of creative ways that you can fast. The idea is that we would give up something to make room, space to focus more on God, to draw closer to Him. It's not a way of simply proving to God that we're super serious and somehow trying to get His attention through religious works. That's not the point at all. Fasting, whether it's giving up food, whether it's, some people give up social media for the week, whatever it is that might typically take up your attention and energy throughout the week, to set that aside simply as a very practical means of carving out extra space to focus on God in a very unique way. And that's what fasting is. It's very practical, but it's quite spiritual. It's mysterious in a lot of ways. Every time I've fasted over the years, it always astounds me at the way God meets with me, speaks to me, helps me, heals me. It's just really an incredible experience, and I could not encourage you and us as a church enough to figure out what that looks like for you, for your schedule this week. It could involve you thinking through things logistically, even health-wise. I always encourage people who perhaps have dietary or health issues to do with their diet to make sure they seriously think those types of things through before you make any radical decisions to just cut out all food, or perhaps you actually shouldn't do that. But think that through. There's some helpful points in the prayer and fasting guide as well that can help you address some of those things. Guys, throughout the week, and this I'll wrap it up in just a sec, but throughout the week we will get together twice between now and next Sunday. Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, it'll be a time for us to come together and pray at the church building. It'll be informal, no huge agenda, not a band or a bunch of music. Guys, just a time where we have the building available to us, that I want to open it up for anyone who wants to come after work or whatever it might be, and let's just be together. Let's pray together. Let's encourage each other. Usually day 2 or 3 is when it can start to really feel quite painful. So Tuesday will be a perfect time for us to get together and actually pray for each other, and pray for our church. And then we'll meet again on Friday, 7 o'clock, same time in the church building again, and this will be the evening that we culminate the prayer and fast together. We'll have our worship team there, and we'll spend about an hour and a half worshiping Jesus, praying for each other, and that will be a much more focused time of prayer, as we just cap off the 5 days of praying and fasting together as a church. We will break our fast together by taking communion that evening, and it'll be an amazing time. Then, of course, on Sunday, we will gather finally for our official launch service. And guys, I'm just excited as ever. I hope you are too. Let's be praying for each other. Guys, I've said it so many times, but I want to say it again. I want to remind us that what we are doing, the mission that we have signed up for, to plant Grace City in Portland, to be co-laborers with one another and with Jesus, to do this great work that God has clearly prepared for us to do, as a church community, as a family of people. Because this is serious kingdom business. It's fun, it's exciting, it's adventure, it's full of joy and all sorts of cool things, but it is also an absolute fight. I could, if I had another 10 minutes or so, I could just vent a little bit and tell you some pretty intense stories of just some of the things that me and my family have been through in the last 4 months to a year since we arrived in Corvallis and began this journey. Guys, it has been intense in every sense of the word, but God is faithful. He's faithful, and He is the master of redemption. So no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many challenges or frustrations or practical, spiritual things that we wrestle through in the process, guys, let's keep our eyes focused on Jesus. Let's be confident that He is faithful. And even when it feels like things are just going off the rails, when it feels like we've taken a wrong turn or things are just getting unnecessarily difficult, as it might seem, our Father is the master of redemption. Let's continue to build each other up. Let's bear with one another with patience, humility, and much grace. Let's remind ourselves and each other that we are on the same team. We're in a family together. We're fighting together, not each other. We're fighting for one another. So let's think about that. Let's meditate on that. And I love you guys. I really do. I missed not seeing everyone this morning. But hopefully I'll see a bunch of you Tuesday night. Make sure you share this around, please. I'm gonna get this out on Facebook and whatever else we've got to get this message out there. But feel free to share it. And if you've got any questions at all, if I'm missing anything, please feel free to contact me. Call me, email me, text, and I'll do my very best to respond as fast as I can. All right, guys. See you soon.